everyone. Welcome to Author Chat, or welcome back if you've been here before. Today, I am excited to have with me author Beth Rinyu. Hi, Beth.
Hi.
And she has out a new release. It is a women's fiction mystery entitled Her Name Was Annie. And that came out on April the 28th.
Yes.
So, Beth, can you tell us a bit about your story?
Well, it's first and foremost, I would say it's a woman's fiction novel. There is a second chance romance thrown in there. That's not the main genre of the book, but um, and there's a little mystery going on where you kind of have to figure out who this person is that she meets in the beginning and how he ties into the story. Um, and it's about a woman. She's a little bit older than when I normally do my characters. When I first started writing, I did my characters in their 20s. And then as the books went on, they got a little bit older and a little bit older and a little bit older. So this one is, she is 48 and she's, got a daughter in college. She's divorced, kind of bitter over her divorce because it wasn't a happy divorce. Well, I mean, what divorce is happy, but anyway, she is sitting on the beach one day and she witnesses a man. It's a stormy day. She witnesses a man walk into the ocean and take his life. And she has no clue who he is. She tries to stop him. And, so her ex-husband comes back into the picture because he's a FBI agent. So he's kind of working with the police, but not really working with the police to try to find out what this is all about. So as the book goes on, you kind of think it's just a random older man who takes his life, but then you find out slowly but surely there's a connection there to her and her family. And it throughout the book it progresses. You find out who this man was, what his reasoning was for doing this, and in the interim, she's dealing with her ex-husband more and more, and that's where your second chance romance kind of comes into play. So I can't really say too much because I don't want to give out, the whole plot of the story, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay. And that is, have a multiple books out. Are they all in the women's fiction or
Just
romance?
recently, this one and the last one that I did, The People We Meet Along the Way, that is, it's a romance. It's definitely got romance in it. That really has a romance in it. But first and foremost, I think that's more women's fiction too, because it's more of her journey, growing as not in the romance, but as a person. Those were really the only two like that I would dub as women's fiction.
Mhm.
I think the rest of them are more or less romance. Yeah.
What kind of heat level can readers expect to find in your books?
Well, the last few ones, it's kind of, I mean, this last one, it's kind of, that they had relations, but it's not in detail. My older ones, it was more in detail, and I'm not comfortable writing those scenes. I never was, and I feel like I read them and I cringe. I'm like, oh God, But I'm like, and then like the last two books, couple books I wrote, I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? If I don't feel comfortable writing them and I don't like the way they sound to me, like you could still imply and get your message across what happened
Right.
without
Right.
going into detail. But then I've had readers who, like, I had someone who read our copy of my last book, and she's read all my books. And I remember she messaged me and she's like, "Where's my steam?" She's like, "You don't have any steam in this." I'm like, "Sorry, but it is what it is. But so these last two have definitely like tamed down a little. Even my first one wasn't real bad because it was like you're just writing out your first book. You didn't know who was going to be reading it, and but it kind of like peaked a little bit, and now it's going back down to, you know, I feel like less is more.
Yep. And there's going to be an audience for those as well.
Right, right,
Audience
right.
for it all.
Hmm.
So, how has your writing process changed over time?
I think in that respect, it's changed what we just talked about because I felt like at first, like you had to have sex and books for it to sell. Like you needed that, you needed and I don't think that anymore. I think because tons of I've read tons of good books where there's lots of sex in it, and if they can write a good sex scene, it's I don't mind it at all.
Right.
And but then I've read other books, romance novels, where there is really no, and they're just as good. And I'm like, you know what, you don't really need, depending on your what you feel comfortable with.
Hmm.
Um, I think, how has it changed? I think I'm starting to write, like I said, my characters a little bit more mature, a little bit older, as opposed to when I first started out, they were in their 20s. And, I think that's changed a lot. And I like, I, I found that I've been like to challenge myself as each book goes, like with thinking outside the box and doing something a little bit different than when I first started out.
And how do you know how many books do you have out?
I just counted that today because I said, "Oh, in case she asked that," because I believe it or not, I didn't know. Like, how you just stop now. I have to stop now and think about do the math to figure out how old I am. Like, it's sad that I have to do that. Like, I forget sometimes. Um, 20. This will Her name was Annie will be my 20th is my 20th book.
20th book. Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And it's been since I think I started this in 2012. I wrote my first book. So over a span of almost 10 years.
Okay. Okay. What is one thing that you wish you'd known about writing when you started?
Oh God, there's a lot of things I wish I knew. I think probably, well, when I first started, I remember I was so nervous about everything, like, like the reviews and now it's more like, oh, well, people don't like you. People are going to like your books. People aren't going to like your books. You just got to take it all in stride. I wish I had that mindset when I first started. Like, don't take it so seriously. I mean, like, don't feel like just because somebody didn't like your book that you're horrible and you shouldn't do it anymore. Um, the other thing I wish I had known about was how much promoting is you have to do to make your book successful.
Right.
Um, it's a lot of work, and it's more than the writing process. Actually, for me, I feel like it's very daunting, and
Mhm.
um, I wish I had known that. I mean, I still would have done it because I just enjoy writing so much, but it really is it's a full-time job if you want it to be, like you could promote and promote and promote. So I wish I had known you know, and everything it changes, everything's changing, from month to month, from week to week with promoting and what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. So I wish I had known all of that.
How are you completely indie published? Have you been traditionally published?
I'm completely indie. Yeah. I never went like that route and every book I say I'm gonna, you know, try to pitch it to an agency. I'm gonna try to get this traditionally published. And then every book I'm like, you know what, I just want to get it out there. I want my readers to read it. And, you know, um, I just don't have the patience for that, I guess. And I probably don't have the reject like the heart to be a reader. So,
Yeah,
I mean, although it would be nice to say, oh, I made it once with one of my books but I just,
but yeah, that pile of rejection letters is a
yes,
little
yes,
tough there. So,
yeah.
I agree. What is your biggest challenge as a writer?
I think not so much the writing part, it would be the promoting part. Again, like once I get a story in my head, I could just type it just takes over. It just and I have to finish it. And I think it's the promoting part, reaching new readers. Even like from the time I started this almost 10 years ago, it was like it just seemed like there were so many more readers and so many people who wanted like to read art copies and bloggers and now it's like even bloggers, like, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm
They're so
type of
overwhelmed.
way.
I mean,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. So, yeah, I think that would be it.
yeah, absolutely. Um, I just lost the words in my brain. If you could write another genre other than your romance or women's fiction, is there another genre you would like to try?
I would love to do a good mystery. I love reading mysteries. Like I I just I plot around in my head different ideas and I just can't. I can't come up with anything like the books I'm reading. Like, but I would love to be able to do a mystery. Like a for real, like a just full blown mystery. No, just with a hint of a mystery, like a full blown mystery where at the end you're just like, oh my God, I didn't know, had no idea that that's how it was going to be. Yeah.
So, are you typically a plotter or a pantser when it comes to writing your books? Do you sit down and
Mm,
outline them all, or
I don't outline, no. No, like for this last book that I just did, got this idea. Actually, I was going for a walk on the beach and it was just like the start of my book. It was a stormy day. The ocean was just like, and I saw these people sitting there and I'm thinking, God, like I wonder like if somebody went into this water, like they wouldn't even know, the whole premise of that. And it was like months and months and months. And I'm like trying to figure out how can I get a story from that one idea. And it finally so what'll happen is I get one little idea and I play around with it in my head until like a whole story just kind of plays out in my mind.
okay. What are your favorite romance tropes, and do you read the same ones that you write?
Sometimes I do. I love enemies to lovers. Like I love that. I love when they don't get along in the beginning and,
Mhm.
I love that. I'm really into lately with the romance World War II um historical romances like that.
Yeah.
Um and I also like friend like when they start out as friends and then become lovers. I love that romance. And I have a couple enemies to lovers romance and a couple one I think friends to lovers romance. No World War II. That's another one I would love to attempt a World War II romance because that was just such a romantic time period, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Historicals can be tricky though, because there are some people that really will catch you if your
Oh yeah,
writing
yeah.
is
That's for
not
sure. 'Cause that's
accurate.
good.
You
Yeah.
use a word they didn't use then, and they will
Yeah.
blow you up for
That's
that. So.
that's why I'm very hestant about doing it. Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
I really love there's a writer that I've read that writes historicals and like the set in the 1800s, and I'm like I love that, but it's not something I would
Yeah.
ever attempt.
That's a lot of research. A
Yes,
lot of research.
it is. And at this point, I mean, she's written a lot of books in that. And I think at this point, I guess that, she just knows you have to become an expert in that time
Right.
period
Right.
and still craft a good story on
Mhm.
top of that. So
Mhm.
it's
Exactly.
my
Exactly.
hats off to that. I need,
Yes.
hats off to people who can write that sort
I
of stuff.
agree. I agree.
I did notice that your novel, The People We Meet Along the Way, is now out in audiobook.
Yes.
Can you tell me about your decision to get into audio and kind of what that process was like?
Well, I am like an Audible junkie. I listen to all my books. My husband laughs at me because I watch a lot of British TV. I watch Acorn all the time. And a lot of times it's really hard for me, like sometimes they have those deep accents and I'm like, I can't. So I put the subtitles on the TV. He says to me, "You're the only person I know that reads the TV and listens to your books." So, but I mean, I listen to maybe 3 or 4 audiobooks a week. Like I'm a huge audiobook lover.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I would love to have my books on audio. So I this last one I did, I said, you know what, I'm going to research and see what that entails. And I did, and it was pretty easy. Like I found a great narrator. I went through ACX I
Okay.
found a great narrator. She was wonderful to deal with, the whole process. Like, um, she did everything for me. We uploaded it and it's there. So I am going to put this next one. Her name was Annie on audio as well. I'm working with someone right now to, it's probably not going to be released, probably not until the end of the summer though, on audio.
Okay. Are you reusing the same narrator or did you go for a
It's a
different?
different narrator. It's a different narrator. Yeah.
Okay. And so what are you working on now? What's coming up next for you?
I'm not working on anything right now. I have one little idea in my head that came to me, and I'm slowly like trying to figure out how can I make this plot line progress. But right now I'm not working on anything, and that makes me sad because I feel like I'm the happiest when I'm writing a story. Like it's just like a natural, like an antidepressant, like
Yeah.
a therapy session, when
Right,
you're
right.
writing a story.
How many drafts of your book do you go through before you get to publish?
Um, how many drafts? I don't know. I would say drafts. What I usually do is I'll type a chapter, and then after each chapter, I'll reread it, make my changes, go on to the next chapter,
Okay.
type, and then I just go back. And then if I don't, then I like it's kind of like ex- my analogy is like when you get your hair cut and then you keep going back. The hairdresser keeps going back in and making different, like cleaning it up. That's kind of what I do.
Okay. So not just a one pass all the way through and then go back to the beginning.
No,
You
no,
clean
I
it up
kind of
on
do
purpose.
it as I'm going along. Yeah.
Okay. Do you use beta readers or critique partners?
I usually don't. Once I am done, I have a few girls that have been with me from the beginning that I'll let them read it before it goes to editing, and they'll tell me what they think. But I usually don't do beta readers per se. No, I kind of just, you know,
Moved away from
if
it?
there's something that I'm stuck on, um, I think, "Ugh, maybe that's not right." I'll put it out there to like them and ask them what their opinion. But I usually don't give them the whole book to beta read. And no,
Okay. Okay. Everybody does that whole process just a little bit
hmm
differently.
I just feel like sometimes too many cooks in the
Mhm.
kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, and then you have a run of ideas, and you're like, "Oh, what should I go with?" So I kind of just try to keep it, you know, how I
Yeah,
intended.
I usually only run about 3 to 5. I like an odd number and then not very many, just so, if 2 people tell me the same thing, but if I have a third
Right. Then
party, I have yeah,
hmm
yeah,
hmm
it's sort of like a tiebreaker kind of deal there.
Yeah.
So where can readers find out more about you and your books?
Well, I am on Amazon. My books are strictly on Kindle Unlimited on Amazon. They can find me on Facebook page. My Facebook page, I do update my Facebook page a lot. I'm on there a lot for my author page. Um, and I have a little reader group on Facebook. It's called Beth's Bookies. Um, it's like just my readers. I post little teasers in there. Like I'll post the cover reveals to my books a little bit earlier than what I would share with everybody else. If I have a question about certain things that I want to run by, I'll post in the group and they'll give me feedback. Um, and I'm on Goodreads. I'm on Instagram, and I do have a blog. It's Bethy97.blogspot. I believe that's what it is. I started that when I first started writing,
Yeah.
and so that's pretty much it.
I will have all of Beth's links down in the description box below. You guys can check that out and follow Beth to find out about her next work when that comes out, and definitely grab her title. Her name was Annie, which is going to be out now and in Kindle Unlimited too, right? You said you were in all.
Kindle Unlimited, yes. All my books are on Kindle Unlimited, yes.
So check her work out, and guys, definitely give us a like down there, and help me out with the algorithms that YouTube likes, and comment below. We appreciate that, and thank you, Beth, for joining me today for
Thank
the
you for
interview.
having me, and I'm sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning.
The joys of technology. Guys, thank you all for watching to this point, and you have a great week.
Bye.